And was it about this time that you were contacted by Mandy Bartelt on Facebook Messenger about the job?
Well, yeah, I got through the problem with the stem cell, or with the PICC line infection. I got out of the rehab on December 18th, and then I got notified. Then when Sue told me she was going to retire, I told Human Resources right away I was going to add up there and get going because I've got serious medical treatment. I need to get somebody done and hired before I'm out of here. And so it didn't happen for a couple of days, so I finally put a Facebook post out saying, hey, there's an opening here if anybody that wants to work as a municipal court for Fox Crossing. And then I think the day of or the day after that, I got a Facebook message from Mandy Bartelt saying that she was interested.
I'm actually going to jump back here for a minute. You had been in private practice up until 2015, right?
Well, I've been on my first thing out of law school was 4 years plus as a JAG officer at Fort Knox, Kentucky. I stayed in the reserves, but from the time I left active duty at Fort Knox, I had been in private practice. I've been 1982 to the present, except for periods of time when I was mobilized for contingency operations 3 times.
Do you recall having Sarah Christensen as an assistant?
I do.
Okay. And do you recall having to let her go at some point?
I do.
And what was the issue that you had to let her go?
The problem was, I think it was 1989, we had at that time an associate attorney, Harriet Papard. She had court on the Monday after Thanksgiving. I had a jury trial here in Winnebago County that day. And we had a second secretary named Ruth, but she got called for jury duty in Outagamie County, so there was no one there to answer the phone. And in the legal business, especially criminal and traffic, the day after an extended weekend is usually a day of high phone volume. So we needed somebody there to answer the phone, or we would have clients that would call us, not be there, and go somewhere else.
Okay. So because of that fact, you ended up letting her go?
Well, yeah, she told me that she was going to take that Monday off because it was going to be, we call it a floating holiday that state employees had at the time. I said, no, this isn't going to work. This is an extremely important day. We lose a lot of business if nobody answers the phone. And she just stayed up north with her boyfriend.
Okay. Do you recall going by her house to leave a note ever?
At some point, we did. I mean, I finished my trial, came back to the office, and within a couple of days, she was terminated. And I believe I stopped once at her home on upper apartment on Sherry Street on the way home, where I lived near Fritzie Park in Fox Crossing. That was it. One letter just saying, I think offering her return to work perhaps. I don't remember what the content of the letter was.
Now let's jump back to 2016. You eventually did make a decision along with Fox Crossing to hire Mandy Bartelt for the position of Human Resource Director, or Municipal Court Clerk?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. And during the time that you were leading up to the interview, did you guys talk on Facebook?
Oh, we did. There were a bunch of Facebook conversations. She gave me a little bit of her background. I had seen her work in the Outagamie County courthouse, as she appeared to be very professional, efficient. I would notice a tan on her every time she went somewhere for vacation. I called it a south of the border Mandy Bartelt tan.
Okay.
So, we conversed with each other.
You would talk about running with her?
Yes.
Do you recall you were in the hospital in approximately August of 2016? What happened with that?
I did the all 30 days, and the doctor let me go to the Lexian Village apartment that was reserved for bone marrow transplant patients, and so I did 30 days there, and then I went back to work. Well, sometimes when I was at Lexian Village, I would sneak back and do court dates because the voters didn't elect me to be a couch potato. I'm the village municipal judge, not the village couch potato. So I would go back. I would sneak out. I went to court several times rather than have the village pay for a substitute judge.
Okay. And when you were out, you would send messages to Mandy let you know things were going on, communicate with her, check in?
Correct. We were in communication monthly, and I was doing some, work that didn't require me to be in court, like signing documents and stuff, and sending it back on my computer.
Let's look over that and just, you haven't been tell me if you're familiar with what that is.
I'm sure that's some Facebook messages between Mandy Bartelt and me during August of 2016. This was a time when I had a second PICC line infection. I had gotten it, I just noticed it when I was on a routine visit to Freighter, and I did not go home that day, or for the next 3 weeks.
Could you read to the jury, looks like the first message is from Mandy at the top, and read through. Read through these messages explaining who's talking when.
Sure. This is Mandy. This is a picture of a cat with a rifle. So that is Bucky or Rascal, some emoticons. They better take care, good care of you down there, or else bah, and then some more emoticons. And then I responded, attachment unavailable. I'm not sure what happened. But then the next part from Mandy Bartelt, still on, this was on August 10th, 2016. I hope your day is going well. I am so used to hearing from you, work or fun, and I haven't heard from you since this morning. So I'm having a glass of wine to cheers you for the best. I know it sounds funny, but I'm used to hearing for you during the day, so just concerned, Would you tell me, Mandy, Fido, and I will as soon as I hear how you're doing, exclamation point.
And then on the next page, it's Mandy again.
Correct. There's a picture of a glass of wine, and then below the glass of wine, it says, I know you wouldn't want me crying. You would want me to be strong, but I have been off and on all day, concerned since I hadn't heard from you, You have become my buddy. Okay, I know you're my boss, and I respect that, but you are my friend. Please keep me posted. Judge K, okay, chat with you soon, Judge K.
Turn to the next page, what's that, an image of?
That's an image of the Len Strong bracelet.
And then you reply to her sending that image?
Yes.
And what do you reply? Just read the rest of it to the jury.
So happy to hear from you.
I'm sorry, your reply right above that.
Oh, my reply. Okay. Thanks. Your loyalty and dedication is heartwarming.
And then this is Ms. Bartelt's reply.
Yeah, Ms. Bartelt's reply was, so happy to hear from you, exclamation point. I was really worried, some dots there. I said, I called my sister on my way home from the gym and gave her a good cry because she knows how much I talk about you and your family and how things are going for you. She said, Amanda, be calm, things will be good. I always trust her, She works at Theta Clark, and she said, one step at a time, he always has been good. Don't be nervous.
Now, do you recall, you at this time, there was a time period where you were on a sort of probation down in Milwaukee. You couldn't go within 45 minutes of Freighter.
Probation imposed by the hospital, not by the Department of Corrections, yes.
And so why was you allowed to go more than 45 minutes away?
But their theory was they expected complications if they were going to occur, would occur within the first 30 days. So you had to be able to get down to them to do it because they knew what was going on. Some emergency room somewhere else might not. Because a bone marrow transplant is a very complicated and expensive proposition.
So did you at some point go away to do the Brett Younger race?
Yes, I did.
And explain to me what happened with that.
Oh, sure. I was on a Saturday. Friday night, I escaped from Alexian Village, went home, and then went to the race that morning at Appleton North High School.
Were you able to finish the race?
Oh, yes.
And did you have any problems afterwards, though?
Afterwards, for some reason, I felt faint or something. I mean, after that 30 days of inactivity in the hospital, even though I've been working out at Alexian, I still had some problems.
Okay. And did somebody take you home after that race?
Yes, I wanted to go home. But Lisa Malone insisted that she drive me, so I acquiesced.
And did you see Miss Mandy at the end of the race?
Yes, I saw Mandy and Doug, and also her two children, Mason and Maxwell.
Okay, and who else was there at the end of the race?
Also Karen and Courtney.
Okay, and what were they doing when you crossed the finish line?
They were cheering for me.
Around September this time, you were going to be returning from the hospital, and you were planning a party for that?
Yeah, I actually got out of the hospital, I think, August 15th or something. It was 3 weeks for that second PICC line infection, and we had talked on Facebook Messenger about having a Judge K returns to Fox Crossing type party. So one night after court, I thought if we're to have it, I know holidays is where a lot of village, the parties are held. So I said, Mandy, if we're done with court, I would go over to Mandy holidays, look it out, we'll each have one wine and go home. And that's what we did. We looked over at holidays. We decided, which room was going to work, because I'd been there before to case the place out. But I wanted her opinion also. So we looked at whether to rent a whole room or which room to rent. So yes.
Because you actually talked about planning that party on Facebook Messenger while you were in the hospital.
Correct, I did.
Okay. And then you ended up having that party a few days later?
Yes, it was the weekend of the Fox Cities Marathon. So we had a gathering the Friday before, and my daughter was there, who flew in from Georgia along with a friend of hers who was also going to run the marathon. And Doug and Mandy and I were at the holidays. I paid for it all just to check the place out and reacquaint each other with each other, and it just seemed like a fun time to have.
Okay. Tell me where the term "the happy place" came from.
That came from Mandy Bartelt. She had explained to me numerous times, primarily during the Judge K challenge runs, how miserable she was in Allegheny County. She described her supervisor, Ms. Bosick, as calling her to the office and screaming at her, and that she left the office in Allegheny County crying. And I said, no, I'm not going to scream at you. We're not going to do that. And we also gone through other stuff. Some judges were known to do that I wasn't going to do. I wasn't going to have her do any private legal work. I wasn't going to do personal errands for me and stuff like that. I said, we're going to have fun, clean operation, and this will be your happy place.
So you said during a Judge K challenge run. What is a Judge K challenge run?
This was also one of Mandy's ideas, and it's kind of weird because I know the military has, running as sometimes a morale thing where you get PT in the morning and you run for 2 miles with somebody and talk about it. Mandy came up with this. It was right up my alley. So I said, sure, what time, do it 4:30. Let me show you some routes around the village, and I'll show up and we'll run. So we had 4 of those. The first run was just Mandy and me. The second run, it was Mandy and her sister, Molly McKenna, and that was just us. And then the third time, it was Mandy and a judicial assistant from Allegheny County, Ms. Meitner. And the last time it was Mandy and me alone.
Thank you. And approximately when was this? This was in what year?
Sure. This was sometime shortly after Labor Day was the first run in September of 2016.
Okay. Now, in December of 2016, did you have a Christmas gift exchange with Mandy?
We did.
And can you tell me about how that went?
Sure. We had that, as has been previously testified, at Cafe Nutrition in Fox Crossing. It's about 3/4 of a mile south of the municipal building. And first it was going to be just Mandy and me, because I had explained the previous procedures with Sue Hermes was we just had a gift exchange the last night of court, and that was it. Mandy said, let's do some more than that. So the first she proposed having lunch somewhere. I said, well, how about Cafe Nutrition, because we're both into healthy food. And then she finally said, about, should we have our spouses there? Doug can make it because he works right across the street at Neuroscience. And I said, sure, and I'll drag Barb there. So we made it all 4. And so we met, instead of having it at the end of court, which is also on the 15th of December, we had it at Cafe Nutrition.
And she ended up giving you a gift, a shadow box that day?
She did.
Okay. And was the box completed?
It was not, and she wondered, I guess she was worried because she wanted to put some of my running medals in it, and I had running medals at the municipal court office. From every time you finish a race, most of the time they give you these medals with not something around your neck as soon as you finish the race. And she didn't know if she could go into my stuff and look for it. After we were done, I told her sure you could, but it was incomplete. And also, as of the 15th, I was not feeling good. I mean, I had my right hip had been a problem for the preceding month and a half, and was going to be replaced. And we had tried to stop what I call chronic graft-versus-host disease, GVHD. We had tried to stop that, the doctors and I, with medication rather than having to get hospitalization. But it didn't work. Probably kept getting worse. So basically what happens is that the stem cells from the donor, who was a medic in Pennsylvania, about 22 years old, after about 6 or 7 months, and this happens all the time, after 6 or 7 months they decided to attack my GI system. And they did, and basically shut it down.
If I could interject here.
Okay.
Sorry. So the night of December 15, 2016, you had court that night?
We did.
Okay. And was there anything significant about Mandy's behavior that night?
Well, yes, I got there about 5:30. When I got there, Mandy was crying, and I thought this was weird. Why are you crying? And she said, you don't know about something about I didn't appreciate her gift, or did you like my gift, or something like that. And I was feeling bad. I mean, I wasn't showing a heck of a lot of enthusiasm or emotion at the cafe nutrition lunch that we had, but I thought, no, thank you. I think we had hugs there and stuff. But anyway, she was feeling really bad, and for the first time, and I think the only time during her employment, I actually initiated physical contact with her and hugged her. But this is the 21st century. You be real careful about doing stuff like that.
Okay. And then later that night, did you get sick?
Yes, I did. At the municipal building.
And you had to go to the hospital from there?
Yeah, but it wasn't an emergency, not an emergency situation, but food was not being absorbed, no calories, no vitamins, and sometimes it wasn't even going down.
February of 2017 when you returned?
Yeah, February 1st.
Okay. Do you recall a time in February when you brushed snow off several people's cars?
Yes. I'm semi-retired. I don't have to be at the office all day or court all day like you do. And there was snow, and I had some time, and I'm only 3 miles away from the municipal building where I live. So there was snow. I was going to stop down there at the municipal building anyway. So I went down there. I talked to Mandy about something. I left the building about 4:20. Everybody gets out at 4:30. I had the snow brush. So I brushed the snow off of Mandy's car, because I know she wanted to kind of rush to get to experience gym, where she works out, or home where she has some equipment. And I brushed a few other people's cars off, George Dearborn, the community development director, and a few others, just to be a nice guy.
Okay.
And yeah.
Did anybody respond to you doing that?
Well, yes. Mandy put a post on Facebook about what a nice guy I was. I have a boss that'll actually brush the snow off my car. I was flattered.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked Exhibit C. I'm looking at page 56. This is an exchange on Facebook Messenger between you and Mandy in March of 2017. So that would be 1 month before you received an email saying, we don't want to talk, we don't want to talk. It's a limit non-work conversations. Can you tell me, when you review the area between the two post-its there, what those posts are about? Do you recall what that's about?
Sure. Mandy had a situation, and Doug had a situation where their youngest child, Maxwell, was in a daycare center, and the daycare center personnel, somebody there, had abused him physically or mentally or done something. And Mandy came to the office because we had court that night, kind of all crying and upset, and wanted to know what to do about it. And I said, I said, I'm asking your advice as a lawyer. And what they could do in limited time, I said, you sent out an order, first of all, to the daycare center that preservation request, they not destroy their videotapes, which she said they had. And that was kind of, I left it, but I was concerned about it. And I couldn't sleep at night, so I did some worked on my laptops and legal research is the administrative procedures for disciplining daycare centers, and I just kind of sent it to her. I said, I didn't think, from what the information you told me, I didn't think this was a case they'd probably call criminal and take up that way with the sheriff's department, but there was stuff that could be done to the daycare center administratively.
If you could just read then the part between the two posts there.
Sure. Judge K, you rock. Day has been extending to the day of hell. Instead of the beach, we're in Minneapolis now, leaving soon. Beach at almost sundown leaves Mandy Bartelt. One less day of tan. We will read up on your email. And again, Judge K, you rock.
If you could just, again, what your statement was right before that.
Oh, my statement right before that was, I sent you and Doug a detailed email on some of the pertinent law on the situation with Max with some links.
Now, this is March of 2017. Let's jump ahead. About this time, did you put a post up about her being on vacation?
Well, yes. While she was gone, she's with Doug. This is her vacation away from the boss. I don't want to ruin that. And just before she left, she said, this is Doug and me. The kids are going to stay with Grandma and Grandpa Strobel. I said, that's cool. It sounds to me like second honeymoon. You got a 5 and a 7-year-old, and you're off alone in Florida or something. So I considered it to be a second honeymoon. Maybe it technically wasn't. She never used the term. I'm just going to use that term.
Okay. And so at some point you explain. Explain what on Facebook there's your page, correct?
Correct.
And other people have pages.
Correct.
And people can post on pages.
It's a friend's. If you set the settings that a friend can post on your page, yes.
Okay. So when you put something on Facebook, was it a post you put up, or was it another post? Can you explain the drill?
Sure. What I did was I was just checking Mandy's Facebook page every now and then just to see if she was having fun in Florida. She might post a picture or something. I didn't know if she would or not. But I think toward the end of her vacation, I saw somebody else that I didn't even know, it must have been a friend of hers, post something like, Mandy, we haven't heard from you. Are you okay? Something like that. And I saw that, I said, well, Mandy's okay. I don't know what the problem is here, but I thought, well, at least I don't know Mandy's okay as far as we know. I put, Mandy's on a second honeymoon in an undisclosed location now. She had been telling people where this was, but I didn't want to tell this person who it was, let Mandy do that. And of course, in retrospect, maybe I shouldn't have just done anything at all, but that's what I did.
In your Facebook feed, I guess describe, what's your news feed on Facebook? What does that mean?
Well, news feed, yes. You get one of these, you got smartphones. What happened was there's certain sorts of things that'll happen that will pop up in front of you to get your attention, that they're important. And Facebook has certain, they call them logarithms. I'm not sure how to spell that. But they said that based on your preferences and things like that, certain things will pop up. Well, one of those things, sometimes messages that you get from somebody will pop up, or friend requests. Sometimes if you're near somebody and it's an unusual occurrence, something will pop up saying blank, is nearby, is a nearby friend. So that would be show up on the feed on the phone.
And can you tell, there was a couple people you would see show up on your feed as being nearby on a regular basis?
Sure. I mean, besides somebody involved in this case, I would frequently see Attorney Gert Pitch, who lives about 3 miles from me in Fox Crossing. I would see, when I come down to Oshkosh for court, I see Attorney Matt Golden, whose office is about 4 blocks from here. I don't come down here that often, so it's an unusual occurrence. And Facebook picks it up saying, Matt Golden is nearby. Also, the city attorney in Neenah is a Facebook friend, and he and his wife like to walk down the Lake Street Trail for exercise and recreation, especially in the summer. And sometimes they bring their phone with them, apparently, or one of them, he does. And I live about 100 yards off of the Fox the Lake Street Trail. So if he'd walk there, I had him show up a couple of times in my Facebook feed and say, Jim got loose, he was nearby. So it wasn't terribly unknown occurrence.
Okay.
And of course, then there's somebody involved in this case. You probably get to that.
At one point, you were friends with Mandy's mother, Barb Strobel?
That is correct. That started, how that started?
Okay.
Sure. That started, they sent a very nice Naveen that is called to me. When I was at Freighter in late January 2017, saying a prayer was going to be said for me at the Immaculate Conception, and that's the Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C. And I wanted to thank him because I believe in thanking people that do nice things for you as often as you can. I didn't have any paperwork. I didn't have my wallet. My wife kept that. Stayed in the hospital. I had no way to communicate a thank you to her in a prompt manner. So I think I communicated with Mandy about that. I said, is there some way to get a hold of your mom so I can send her a quick Facebook message or email or something, thanking him for that Navina. So she said, well, my mom's on Facebook and you can friend her.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit DD. Do you recognize what this is?
Yes. This is a printout of all the Facebook conversations between me and Barbara Strobel, Strobel, who is Mandy Bartscheld's mother.
And could you read those posts, telling the dates of those
Sure.
posts first?
January 20th, 2017, Barb and Mark, thanks for the card and the prayers.
Okay, and then the next one is in, go ahead and read that.
Sure. Next one's April 3rd of 2017. Barb, I don't know if Mandy told you, but your name pops up as nearby when I get near Singer or Richfield on the way to Freighter, parentheses, today again, close parentheses, period. Thanks again for the prayers. God has been answering them, stronger every day, and then some emoticons with big biceps.
I'm going to ask to move Exhibit DD into evidence and then call it to the jury.
No objection.
Your DD is received as a summary under 1906. May be published. And folks, if you could let us know by raising your eyebrows when you get a chance to review it, please. It would appear that everybody has had a chance to review Exhibit DD. Am I correct? Please go ahead then, Attorney Kachinsky, folks, please pass down toward him.
And we're going to jump ahead a little bit. At some point, in April 2018, you received an email from Ms. Bartelt that she wanted to limit the non-work conversation you had, correct?
I did.
And what did you think the reason for that was?
I wasn't sure. I mean, she talked about keeping things more work-related because of the paperless project, which is a number of different modernization projects that she spearheaded at my authorization. But I didn't think that my emails or anything that I was sending to her at the office or calling or being there was so frequent that it was interfering with her productivity. But I took her for face value of what the email said, and I wanted to talk to her a few days later to see what was really going on, because I was a little concerned there might be more to it than just was there.
So then, in June of 2017, there was law enforcement there when you were at the courthouse. Tell me how that made you feel.
I was totally unexpected. I went. It was our Thursday nights when we have court at 6 o'clock in Fox Crossing. I got there at about 5:30. There had been no communication between me and Ms. Bartelt that whole week, because this was after she had gone to Sturgill just before Memorial Day. So I got there June 1st, and all of a sudden I get in there. There's two police officers that are by the judicial chambers, and they're trying to be nonchalant, but they're talking to Mandy about their personal stuff, family, kids, stuff like that. I did want to try to talk to Mandy at some point about, is there anything about what she had gone on before, back just before Memorial Day, that when you talked to it, there wasn't, couldn't
Mom, we're coming back to you.
So the cops were there.
Surprised by that. Now, at some point in June, you become aware that Manny doesn't want to talk to you outside of work, correct?
Yes.
Maybe June, July, in that time frame.
Yes, and there was, yeah. First of all, the first problem was it appeared she just wanted to be concentrated and non-talk outside of work, in the workplace, and it was okay for stuff that there was, important to do personal emails or Facebook messages that were out of court, which explains the stuff when I was talking about parties. But after that, yes.
Okay. And so then, after that point, your goal in having meetings with her was that you felt like your office couldn't function without having at least basic human communication.
Correct. I mean, it's nice to have someone that does an excellent job on the tasks of a court clerk, and the tasks of a court clerk were described by Ms. Bartelt in her testimony, getting properly accounting for the money, setting out the forfeitures, deciding on collection actions with state debt collection, getting the citations from the police department, setting up the agenda for courts, open records requests, other things that come into the court. But in addition to being able to perform the mechanical tasks, being a municipal court clerk is not like being an assembly line worker at Plexus or Oshkosh Defense. You're also sort of the alter ego of the judge, just like a judicial assistant for a circuit court judge. And I thought some kind of rapport, we can't, and defining what's work and not work, can be real difficult. I mean, usually I throw stuff in more kind of work communications, like, hope you have a good weekend, or, you get good workouts, stuff like that. So you mix personal and business all the time, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Okay. But if the administration got involved, do you think they started to help the situation or hurt it?
Well, the mediation and what Lisa Malone did that caused the May 3rd understanding this in evidence, I thought it was great. I thought this would solve it, Certainly, Mandy doesn't want to be a close friend anymore. That's her prerogative. I think we need some low level of personal relationship, just to make it go. Because there's two. It's something I learned in the Army and our leadership style. You need to know your people.
Okay. Now, just to jump back, you would communicate with Mandy outside work. She actually sent you more information about the job than Sue Hermes had when she was there. Kept you more updated?
Oh, definitely, yes. One thing Sue would, when Mandy took over, there were first thing I did was, just before I left for Freighter, I told Mandy, as soon as Sue's out of here, you go over to finance and tell them what they want to fix up with cash management, because there's been an audit, and for several years she's been telling us to approve it. So I think she did that, like probably one of her first days there. So she didn't have to relearn the systems. So yeah, we communicated, and we had basically, my plan was, Sue during her last couple of years was, did the work necessary. She was a good friend, but I knew we needed modernization, and she was not real enthusiastic about doing it when she's close to retirement. So we worked on the office was improved in many ways, with my approval and discussing it with Ms. Bartelt.
Okay, so now, I'm going to take a little jump here, because things didn't seem to settle down over the next couple of months, correct?
Absolutely.
It continued to be an issue where there was continued involuntary monitoring of the courthouse, or of your interactions with Ms. Bartelt.
Yes.
Now, in December, you made an effort to try to fix this situation, correct?
Well, yes. There was just no communication. I had no idea what was going on through her head, this whole period, basically. It was just show up. She wasn't going to talk to me. She was usually out in the courtroom. She's got a link that she can operate everything in her computer in the office in the courtroom. And it was good. That came in, I think, in August or something of 2016. So, yeah, there was really no communication. So I had no idea what this was doing to her, or if there was any problems. I didn't hear about a lot of things. And then on the 7th of December during the court night, she was out there. That is, Mandy was out there. And Lisa Malone took me aside and told me, you know, we got to look at what's going on here, the human side. You know, this is really taking a toll on Mandy, that she's crying and talking about disputes, arguments with her husband, and other things. And I wasn't totally surprised, but I thought, I didn't know this stuff was going on. It sounds as bad from what you're telling me, you know, as bad as it was with Barb Bosick.
Okay, so you started trying to do nice things for that month?
I decided to have what I called a charm offensive. And I just looked for many things as I could do to show that I still cared about her in spite of everything. And when somebody has a boss they think cares about them, they'll perform better and they'll feel better. So I a number of things I did. First of all, I think one day it had snowed again during the day, and people's cars were full of snow on them. So I went over to the municipal building about 4:20 or so, just before people left, got my snow brush out and brushed off Mandy's car and then a few other people's cars, Lisa Malone's and I think George Dearborn's and a few others.
You were aware during this time that Mandy was upset, correct?
Oh, yes.
But what in your mind is to be serious emotional distress? What does that mean to you?
You know, I'm not sure. I mean, I've been in your shoes and tried a few stalking cases also. It would be, you know, repeated crying, perhaps other kinds of chronic things like, I think what she suffered with Barb Bosick might have qualified with hair coming out. And,
but during the time that you interacted with her, you didn't ever see her to be suffering what you thought to be serious emotional distress?
No, I saw her, you know, upset. No, just wanted to try to avoid me. So I didn't really see, you know, I didn't see any crying. That's what I would have been looking for the most, and I didn't see it. And nobody told me about it until Lisa Malone did on the 7th of December. And, you know, nobody told me. I didn't know Doug Bartelt had been visiting her. Nobody told me about that either, even though she's my employee and I didn't know what's going on. No one told me about that until I read it in the criminal complaint for this case.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Could you describe what the average week in your job as the municipal court judge looked like when Sue Hermes was employed?
When Sue Hermes was employed, I was working on a full-time basis by law practice. So typically I would go to the municipal court building for court appearances. Only had occasionally a few other times. You know, sometimes I would have other business like they're buying tags for my cats. And see it then. I wasn't there that often, that's correct.
So primarily it was court nights and that was about it?
Yes.
Okay. Is it your position today that this all started based on a misunderstanding on how Facebook Nearby Friends works?
I think that was a major factor. I mean, we had the thing with the Facebook post that I made that I probably shouldn't have, although there wasn't any intention to do anything. I didn't see how anybody could question the stability of somebody's marriage based upon that post, although Mandy testified they did. So the misunderstanding regarding the alleged following or tracking of Bart Strobel, I think, was definitely the linchpin that knocked all this off.
And you did attempt on more than one occasion to educate Mandy on how that app or how that function worked. Is that
yes,
accurate?
I did. Okay. Yes, I did.
But despite that, you were aware that she continued to, in your opinion, misunderstand how this works.
Either misunderstand or didn't want to understand. I don't know what it was.
Okay. Can you see how someone who might misunderstand this would be, for lack of better words, creeped out by that?
Oh, someone that misunderstood it and didn't explain it. And someone that you had a good personal rapport with and trusted you getting freaked out, I could.
April of 2017, you asked to take pictures of Mandy on behalf of your daughter?
Yes, my daughter. I think she either called or emailed me. She wanted pictures of me back on the bench after having been in the hospital for the GVHD.
But you asked to take pictures of Mandy?
Well, the pictures were going to be court pictures, and she was going to be part of them because we're simulating court during a non-court time, and Mandy would be there, or she might be the person taking pictures of me as a judge. I wasn't specific on that, but that's basically what I envisioned.
And do you also admit that you asked her to take pictures on behalf of two local friends?
Yes. One day in April, I was on my daily run on Silver Spring Road, and Gerald Voigt was in his car and stopped by, and he stopped it and said, "Hey, can we come to your court next time you go to court and take some pictures?" Because there are people that have done a lot of photography for Fox Crossing and different types of projects. So I brought that up. I asked her, and then she just said, "Fine, but tell him not to take pictures of me."
It's true, too, that you did take pictures of the courtroom on your own. Is that accurate?
Not the courtroom, no. I did take some pictures of the inside of the court for purposes of litigation to show how the layout was of the different things.
And Mandy was in those pictures?
In one of them, yes. I think it was a picture of her from the back. I was in the room before court, and I think they knew I was taking pictures, and I was taking a few.
Now, you talked a little bit about going to the meeting with Ms. Bartelt and Ms. Malone in early May, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And there were ground rules put in place as far as the boss-employee relationship going forward. Is that an accurate statement?
Yes.
And you agreed to those conditions, right?
Yes.
And Mandy agreed to them as well, right?
Yes.
They were jointly collaborated on. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. The next week or soon after, is it an accurate statement to say that you came in on multiple occasions to watch Mandy do her job?
The only occasion I remember that particular week, because I looked over my professional calendar, it was called CLIO, C-L-I-O, was that on Wednesday, May 10th, I had a wedding at 1 o'clock. So I would have gotten there about 12:45. Put my robe on, looked over the script again, and went out to the courtroom to the wedding, and then came back, put my robe back, and I had an appointment at Gusman Honda for routine maintenance on my car, and I had about half an hour or so at the most. I stayed there. I always believed I should watch some of her customer service or daily routines so I understand how it worked, because I'm supposed to evaluate her performance and give her feedback and stuff, and if I don't know what she does, I can't really do that. So, yeah, I was there for some period of time after the wedding, but before I left for Gusman Honda. And the other days, no, I don't recall going there other than May 10th.
On at least that occasion, then, you sat and stared at Mandy.
I don't know if I stared. I don't think I stared at her. I mean, I was looking at her occasionally. I was there. I brought some reading material along to kill the time until there might be somebody there paying their forfeiture or asking advice or something, so I'd see how Mandy handled it, or checking my Facebook status. So, I mean, I looked at her from time to time. It would be from the back. I don't know if she could have seen me staring at her from the back, but occasionally I'd look at her, sure.
Is it true that you made meowing noises during this time?
I did.
Okay. Would it be accurate to say that in one of your court filings, in the matter of the Judicial Commission, you stated you were using a toy cat to meow once or twice at a child at the service window?
Yes, I did. I said that. I thought it over more as to what really happened. That might not have happened that way. I did have a cat toy in the municipal court office, and I wasn't really made aware specifically of what the accusation was regarding a 10th until I got the Judicial Commission letter, I think, around July 24th.
So then, is it also true that in your original answer to that, you indicated that it was a toy cat making the meowing noise?
Yes.
And is it true that in that particular filing of yours, you omitted any portion of a small child being present?
Yes.
And then is it also true that in a subsequent document, you changed your answer to claiming that it was either a cat toy or your mouth that made the noise on the date in question?
That's true. Is that kind of trying to put the events together that I didn't know were any significance. decided that, and frankly, in terms of Mandy Bartell being annoyed, it probably didn't matter whether it was a cat or me.
Did Mandy unfriend you on Facebook?
Yes.
Do you know when that happened?
It would have happened the May 24th, just before, the Friday before Memorial Day, the same day that you went to the Jeff Sturgill.
Mr. Kachinsky, do you think of yourself as pretty Facebook savvy?
Yes, not an expert, but experienced user, yes.
Sure. Now, when someone unfriends you on Facebook, what kind of notification do you get?
None.
So how did you find out that Mandy had unfriended you?
Well, I've been informed of that conversation with Sturgill and Macy, and I wanted to just check out if she was making any comments on it or something. So I checked, on her Facebook page, and I discovered I'd been blocked or unfriended.
How did that make you feel?
I